Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the JB Tonight Show. I'm your host, Chum Fu, and tonight our special guest is Pythagoras, a famous mathematician. Without further ado, we welcome Pythagoras to the stage.
Thank you, sir.
So, Pythagoras, we got a few questions from the audience today, and that's basically how the show's going to go. So,
I'll be happy to answer any questions.
all right. This first question comes from Tyler. What happened during your youth years?
Well, to start things off, I was born in 570 BC in Samos, Greece. My father was a merchant, and my mother was a native of Samos, Greece. When I was young, I traveled all over the world with my father.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Our next question comes from Marissa. What hardships did you have growing up?
Well, I did have a great deal of hardships. The main one, I was imprisoned in the year 525. I was taken to Babylon. Now, that really affected me deeply, and had it not been for that, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Mm-hmm. Our next question comes from Jaboy. What are some of your mathematical accomplishments?
Well, there's some I'm very famous for, and there's some that people might not know about. So, well, first off, I created a religious school in Croton. It revolved a lot around math, but also had a lot to do with religion.
Mm-hmm.
And kids benefited from this in so many ways, it's just unbelievable. And more commonly, I created the number theorem. This states, for example, if 4 squared equals 16, so that means taking four numbers, 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7, also would equal 16. This works for any number, any square number. Now, the most common one that most people are probably familiar with is Pythagorean's theorem. This occurs in a right triangle, and it states that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is the hypotenuse. A and b are both the leg lengths.
All right. And our final question comes from Kickster. Would you mind showing us a couple of example problems relating to your accomplishments?
Sure thing, Kickster. Well, first I'm going to give you a problem on the number theorem. Alright, so if 5 squared equals 25, what would be the what would be the 5 numbers used? Well, since it is 5 squared, you would obviously use 5 numbers. And based off my last example problem, you can conclude that 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 equals 25. And once you do the math, that is the case.
So basically you're saying you have to start with 1, and whatever you're squaring in the beginning is what you're supposed to, that's how many numbers you're multiplying that are odd?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any more example problems for us?
I do. See, there's one problem on the Pythagorean's theorem. If you look here on this table, at the right triangle below, you see that x is on one of the leg lengths, so you can label that b. 6 is the other leg length, and you can label that 6. And finally 10 is the hypotenuse, so you can label c as 10.
Mm-hmm.
So when you set up the equation, you would say 6 squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. To get b squared by itself, you must first subtract 100 minus 36. And then you're left with b squared equals 64. To get b by itself, you must do the square root to each side, leaving b equals 8. So therefore, the other leg of the right triangle is 8.
All right, and what if you do not have the hypotenuse measurement?
Alright, so my last example problem, as you can see, if you look here on the table once more, you notice that c is blank. Therefore, that's the hypotenuse blank. So, in your equation, you would have 12 squared plus 16 squared equals c squared. Now, according to my calculations, 12 squared plus 16 squared equals 400. So you're left with 400 equals c squared. Now from there, all you have to do is simply isolate c. And you isolate c by simply finding the square root of each side, leaving square root of 400 is 20. Therefore, the hypotenuse equals 20.
Well, that's great to hear, Pythagoras. Thank you for being here, and
I've got one final comment I'd like to add.
all right.
to all you people out there, math is very important. Please, whatever you do, just bring math in your life because it is an everyday thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the JB Tonight Show. Thank you for being here, guys. We're out.